Okay, it's Sunday, November 26th, 2017, and we're looking at the Bitcoin dollar. This is actually a screenshot of the trade as it was moving right through the 9,000 level. And of course, you can see the profitability here on this particular platform using one of the examples that we've been making case study videos on, which is a lot size of 0.05. Some of our subscribers are using 1.00 lot size. Others are using less than that. So some of them are even using 0.01. Really depends on your comfort level. So with the MetaTrader platform, as I've mentioned before, you can adjust using our trade copier. You can adjust the leverage and lot sizing. So this is what it looked like right when it punched right through 9,000. I wanted to record that so that way we could have it on record. You can see the profitability. Currently, price continues to move higher. So this video would serve as a update on how far I think price is going to go, my analysis, what could we expect. We're looking at a daily time frame. So this is a different chart than the one that I've been using the last few updates, and we've been updating this throughout the weekend and all through the previous week. So we had the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States on Thursday, a few days back, and obviously Bitcoin's going to keep on rolling right through the weekends, and we continue to trade it. So as I've mentioned before in previous videos, if you've watched them, I'm not always in a Bitcoin trade. That's not always going to happen. Now, from the investor mentality, and I talked about this in one of the last two update videos that I posted. You should be able to see it here on the website. The investor mentality is different, obviously, than the day trading, the day trader or the day trading mentality, right? You have two different goals. So with day trading, and this is something that I do with the robot trade copier, is that it executes and duplicates my trades. So when I open and close a trade or manage a position on my MT4 platform, the trade copier will do the same thing for you. It just automatically duplicates that performance and that behavior into your MetaTrader platform. So my goals for day trading are different, obviously, than an investor mentality. I mentioned I believe it was about 2 videos back on the updates a couple of days ago that I had purchased Bitcoin years ago. I continue to hold Bitcoin. Again, that's a different approach. I have different price targets, take profit levels, things like that. And I mentioned that as price gets close to the 10,000 level, I would probably at that point, because it's been so many years that I've held onto Bitcoin, make some decisions. I'd have to make some decisions because, and this is one of the main reasons, and I continue to suspect that this is a possibility, there are people that don't like Bitcoin. there are politicians, writers, things like that that don't like Bitcoin. And it is very, very possible and very, very likely that as Bitcoin continues to make these just massive moves here and to levels that a lot of people didn't think were possible, there's going to be some negative talk about it. And it's very often enough to cause people to exit positions or to reverse or to suspect, big reversals, pullbacks, and the pullbacks and the reversals. And it's like this in most situations like this where we see big extended trending rally type moves that can go on. I mean, we're looking again at the daily time frame. So this has been going on for quite some time. When we see this kind of a distance covered, the possibility of a sharper retracement is a lot more likely. If it's going to retrace, that retracement can be pretty significant. And if you're holding on to a day trading position, you're probably going to get stopped out. Again, the day trading mentality and the stop loss and the expectations and what you're doing is obviously going to be a lot different than if you were an investor where you're holding for these specific targets that could generally take months, years, to hit. So it's a different strategy altogether. With the trade copier, I'm getting in, getting out. Sometimes I hold for a week. Sometimes I hold for a few days. It really depends on what Bitcoin, when we're talking about Bitcoin, it depends on what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin moves obviously different in many ways than comparing it to, for example, a Forex major currency pair like the euro dollar, pound dollar. But the strategies, nevertheless, the strategies are still the same. So this is, again, an opportunity where we've been into this trade for some time now. And as it approaches that 10,000 mark, it's not so much that I think it's going to stop before or around or maybe punch through the 10,000 and then turn and come back down. It could certainly go right through 10,000 and then just go right to 15 or 23,000. It is possible. It is possible. But I have to prepare for the possibility that there's going to be some kind of announcement or a statement or a comment, something that's going to spook the market and cause a big retracement and a deep, substantial retracement. A correction, I'm not sure that I would call it a correction, but a retracement or a pullback, it's similar to what we saw a while back, just a few weeks ago, back when it retested some of these lower levels. You can see here on the daily time frame back in July with that breakout. We traded this breakout. I have videos on the website with this breakout over the summer. And then we stopped trading it for a while because of the consolidation range. And then it came back down and tested the level that it broke out of, which is not uncommon. Extremely common and typical breakout retracement pattern behavior, where it breaks out, moves up, rallies a little while, and then comes back down, retests that level. Again, this could have been a 5-minute chart. It could have been a 1-hour chart. And I describe this a lot because when we're talking about the specific strategies that I'm using, for example, the continuation breakout trade, that is the strategy that I primarily use with Bitcoin. I prefer to do that. I stay away from trading consolidation with Bitcoin. So in other words, if I'm not in a trade at a particular time with Bitcoin, when we're looking at the Bitcoin dollar here on the MetaTrader platform, if I'm not in a trade, I don't sit down every day thinking to myself, I have to find a trade in Bitcoin every single day, because there are just days when you probably shouldn't be trading in a choppy, sloppy trading environment. You're going to lose money. I don't want to lose money if I don't have to. I don't want to force the opportunity. I don't want to force, trying to execute a trade thinking to myself, well, maybe it'll work and I just need some money, or I need to find some trades for my subscribers. I know you want trades and I know you want money, but I've got to find the safest trades for you. And that means being very selective, not only with your money, but with my money. I'm going to execute these trades for myself as well. That's what the trade copier does. It duplicates my behavior. So I want to make sure that every opportunity has a greater chance of winning. I'm going to have a greater success ratio. I'm not into trading just because of the excitement. It is exciting, of course. I have to admit that, right? Everybody, you got to love what you're doing. But what I'm talking about is that thrill of almost that gambler mentality where I'm just trying to see if I'm right or wrong. I don't trade that way. That's not what I'm doing. I want to make sure that everything is calculated, everything lines up correctly, or I just stay away from it altogether. Now, please keep in mind that there are times, and this is going to happen with any professional trader, any trader, there are times when things line up, but they don't seem perfect. And if you trade when you're not too sure, you've got that gut feeling that tells you you're not that sure about what's going on here, what you see, if it's just not lining up 100%, you don't feel you're just 100% comfortable with it, but you execute the trade anyway, you'll notice that very often it's a losing trade, right? And then you think back to yourself, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I should have just stayed out of it. I should have stayed away from it. Now, I went through that in the first couple of years of my trading career, and I learned to overcome that. Now, George Soros actually did some work. I think one of the books, it talks about trading, almost from the gut. It's a feeling in your body. There's one of the writers worked with George Soros and analyzed what he's talking about. You can look that up. It's a study where they're talking about and specifically with traders, the gut instinct, the feeling, something's not right, something doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously, that's not going to apply to a trader that doesn't have any experience. It doesn't have any point of reference, right? They don't know if it's a good or bad trade. They're just in it to see what happens. I'm talking about once you have experience, once you've got a trading system in place that makes sense, it produces results, and then you start to go against what you know is right or your gut feeling, your emotions, your feelings. You feel that. It's very hard to take your emotions out of trading. And if you have a solid trading system in place and you've been doing it for a long time, you're a trader, you've got experience, then those emotions can work for you if you pay attention and you can control the behavior. You don't allow the emotions necessarily to completely control you. Uh, Obviously, that can work against you. So it's not a matter of just always looking for a trade. It's knowing when to trade and when not to trade. And again, through the holidays, as I talked about the last few weeks, I expected to see this behavior. And it's not, I'm not a genius by any means. It's just the same basic holiday type of pattern that we could expect will happen. Doesn't guarantee that's going to happen, but happens very often. With these holidays, you get these moves where price just continues to sort of just trail and keep on going and going and going. You're wondering, when is it going to stop, right? It's a holiday and you think there's going to be lighter volume. There shouldn't be a whole lot of movement, but it just trails off. So you hang on to certain trades if you can. Other areas, it looks a little indecisive and you can't see that type of behavior. So you cut your profits, right? You take what's available before the holidays and you reset. You wait for another opportunity. You wait until everybody comes back to work and there's more volume levels, more participation, and then you get a brand new opportunity. We're always going to get a different opportunity. We're not seeing this type of behavior necessarily in the Forex, in every Forex currency pair. So this gives us a great opportunity to mix. I don't want to say mix opportunities because I'm doing the same behavior. It's the same structure, it's the same type of trade. It's psychology, right? It's trader behavior that I'm also calculating here with these particular techniques that I'm executing. But what I mean, the mixture is the mixture of trading opportunities. So when using the trade copier, if you're trading with a broker that gives you the opportunity to trade the Bitcoin dollar on their MetaTrader platform, then you're going to get trades like this. You're going to get this opportunity. I mean, why give up an opportunity to trade an instrument like this when it's just really taking off? It's a great opportunity. A lot of people are participating. It's got a lot of, I talk about that focus, right? The markets will tend to cycle their focus on different areas. Sometimes it's about Brexit, and sometimes it's the Greece crisis or the Eurozone, or the government in the United States is having a shutdown, and there's all these different events, and the market tends to focus on these different areas, and that's where everybody you get more volume, you get more participation, that you can hold on to your trades a little bit longer if you've got specific targets. That's why give up those opportunities? So by using the trade copier, not only are you going to get Forex trades on the Forex majors and the some of the exotic currency pairs, the euro yen, pound yen, a few others. This is again a perfect opportunity to trade this. Now, how far do I think it's going to go? Again, back in the summertime, there were some analysts that were talking about Bitcoin reaching 10,000. There was a few that were bold enough to go on record on Bloomberg and a few other places to say that they could see that price in Bitcoin could go to 100,000. My thinking isn't so much about, I mean, I understand the politics. I understand a lot of that behind it. I mean, that happens. This isn't a new situation because a lot of instruments will face this sort of resistance to a certain degree. There's going to be some resistance. But the behavior is what I'm trying to count on. So again, as I mentioned, there are people that say they don't particularly care for Bitcoin. They don't like it. They don't want to have anything to do with it for whatever reason. They're out there, and we know that they're out there, and we know that they can cause price and the market to sort of react and get scared to what they're saying, thinking, "Hey, I better lock in profits. Hey, I better stop," or "I'd like to short this." Those are those people that are looking for those opportunities based on the news and the discussion and the talk and the rumors that are out there. We've seen price react to rumors. We do it with the euro dollar. And I remember back 2015 in the summertime, we're trading 9 o'clock. Somebody 9 o'clock Eastern time. There was a group of people that had posted a statement from an official about the Greece crisis, and it affected the euro. It happened right at 9 o'clock. It dropped for 10 minutes, and then everybody was able to, or there was a few websites that were able to try to contact the person who supposedly made that statement, and they were able to confirm that he did not make that statement. And then once they posted that it was not confirmed and that he said he did not make that statement, the euro turned around and went right back up the other way. All within 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So we see that the market can react to this. We know that it can happen, and it's going to happen here. It does happen here in Bitcoin. So we have to prepare for that. I don't think that it's impossible that something like that could happen, where Bitcoin could travel close to 100,000, maybe. One day in the future, how acceptable is it? Is it something that people are going to start using more and more? The higher it goes, the more attention that it draws, and the benefits to something like a Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, things like that. All these advantages. When people can get past that and they see that there's a real opportunity here to use it on a regular basis, then we could expect to see some of these other cryptocurrencies move along with it. But in the meantime, I'm more into thinking, especially when it comes to the trade copier robot, I'm thinking that it's about protecting the profits that we're making every day. I don't want to get into the trade and think 100,000, ooh, that sounds great. Let's just see how far it goes. We've got to lock in profits. The retracement, as I said earlier, when something like this starts to spook the market, could be so sharp that we would give back everything, and that's going to affect me. It's going to affect you. So I'm not going to do it that way. Even if I have those projected price targets, at 10,000 or above, when it comes to the trade copier, I've got to trade it a little bit differently because the fact that we're day trading this, and we've got to lock in profits, and we've got to find specific targets. It is possible that it could approach 10,000 and not necessarily hit 10,000. And then, and this is something else that I've seen over the many years that I've traded. I've noticed that with certain key price levels, and not necessarily just with Bitcoin, but this is just to give you an idea. And it doesn't necessarily mean that just because I make the statement, it's going to happen. But I've seen it happen a lot with gold, oil, different price levels in currency markets, indexes. We've seen specific levels that a lot of people, or most of the market, was anticipating. And every once in a while, a news announcement or statement will hit the market at a specific time of day, maybe on a Friday just before the market closes, and it completely stops price, and it ends up not hitting that anticipated price level, even though it gets extremely close to it, and everybody's looking at it thinking, oh, it's going to hit, it's going to hit, it's going to hit, and it's going to go a little bit through it, and I'm safe. My trade's safe. And you'll notice that sometimes, let's just pick the number, and I'm not talking about 10,000 just because of Bitcoin, but let's just say that there's a instrument that most of the market, and there's a lot of attention, and it's going to reach 10,000, right? And everybody's anticipating it's going to hit 10,000, it's going to hit 10,000. It goes to 9,982. And then all of a sudden it's late in the afternoon, there's a statement, and it stops. The people who release that statement, they do understand that whether it's a politician or an analyst, they understand that there's likely to be a reaction, and the timing of the release of that statement is in many cases on purpose. It does happen. It happens a lot. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every instrument, every price level like this, but it happens. You have to prepare for that possibility. I'm just throwing out some examples of what could potentially happen and why we have to be prepared for these possibilities to protect ourselves and our profits. Just because we see a correction, we can't automatically assume, oh, it's just going to be a small pullback and I'll hold through the weekend. No, we've got to know the reason why something like that at these specific levels could potentially happen, and we have to be prepared for it. Again, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen just because I made that comment about these possibilities, but it is something to prepare for. So 10,000 being the number that a lot of people are looking at here on Bitcoin, because back in the summertime it was talked about and not too many people really expected it was going to happen. This is a very serious possibility. 10,000, we were talking about the possibility of 10,000 through the summer, and then you'll notice that back in September it pulled back down to just below the 3,000 level, and then everybody was talking about how it dipped down and dropped right through the 3,000 level, so maybe the whole move was over with. And again, that wasn't necessarily so. Just looking at the charts here on the daily time frame, you can see exactly what it was doing technically. All it did was just retrace to the level that it broke out of and bounced. 10,000, I hope that it blows right through 10,000. I really do. And it just keeps on going, and it doesn't really pull back much at all. But we've got to prepare for the fact that it might not hit 10,000. But again, there's profitability in the move leading up to 10,000. So don't hesitate if you're going to trade this on your own. don't hesitate to close before 10,000. Don't hold for every single last point. You're going to lose a lot of money doing that. I did that. In the beginning of my trading career, I would pick these specific levels and I would think, it's got to hit, it's got to hit. It's getting so close, it's getting so close. And I would turn my back on it and it never really hit that number exactly. I turned my back on it, walked away from it, and then the whole thing just sort of collapsed and I gave back all my profits. So you don't want to do that. And we're not going to do that here with this trade. We're going to lock in profits along the way. With the trade copier, again, that's what it's all about. It's about locking in profits. And again, when we close those positions on the trade copier, I'm going to look for more opportunities. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to immediately sell it the way a lot of people do. That's a lot more aggressive trading behavior. I don't like picking tops and bottoms. I like looking for confirmation of tops and bottoms. And that means more discipline, more analysis, and patience. I know that for a lot of people, they look at it and think, okay, well, you're giving up a lot of money. Not necessarily. If I'm picking a top and there's going to be a correction and there's going to be another move to the downside, I'm going to get an opportunity to calculate that and trade it as a continuation breakout trade to the downside. And that, again, is the safest trade for me, the way I personally like to trade. Other people, they've got more of a gambling mentality. They like to pick tops and bottoms, but you can lose a lot of money doing that. I tried doing that in the beginning of my trading career, and I lost a lot of money doing it. I prefer to trade these continuation breakout trades because they're consistent, they're reliable, and over 95% of the time when I execute these continuation breakout trades, they're very effective and always produce the profits that I'm looking for.